As far as game collecting goes, I can't honestly say I've always been a collector. I don't think the interest in collecting came until I want to say around the 8th grade. My best friend at the time had recently got back into playing some of the old retro titles because he hadn't had his Master System in NES for a long time, and then he finally got one. And so me and him would talk during class and after class about, some of the older games, or what we considered retro back then. And we just started playing a lot of the old retro titles. And what started happening was we started going back, and the more we went back, the more we wanted to go back and own and pick up any other retro gaming systems or anything like that we never had. And it's kind of weird because we didn't even call it retro. We just called them, the old systems from back then. We didn't even, this whole term of retro gaming or retro, we didn't even use that. So I think that's what got me back into collecting. So I want to say around 8th or 9th grade, that's when I really became conscious of the fact that, hey, I'm actually collecting these. I did make the mistake, as all collectors have, and sold some of my stuff. I actually sold a lot of my my Super Nintendo games to get some Sega Saturn items. I'm doing that back then. I'm trying to collect for the Sega Saturn. And keep in mind, this is around like 98, 99, so the Dreamcast had actually came out, and I wanted to actually go revisit some titles on the Sega Saturn that I never did. So, but yeah, I can't say that I've honestly been a collector my entire life. I know that I've always been kind of like, once you own a certain amount of games, they kind of become a part of you. Even some of the first games I ever have, I still have them in my collection. So that's my thoughts on it as far as collecting and being a collector. I haven't always been a collector, but that's the story behind me collecting. And to this day, I mean, I still hold on to many of these games because, as I said before, many of these games hold an experience in my gaming life. So for me, my collection pretty much is a part of my life. Each game, each system, each controller, each extra item that goes along with that, each video game magazine, all of that is a part of my life. I can pick up almost any game over here. For instance, Zelda Link to the Past. This is my favorite Zelda of all time. I know everybody's favorite is Ocarina of Time, but it's a whole nother story. But I have a memory with this game. I have an experience, a particular time, a particular place, and that is why I believe each one of these games and each one of my systems pretty much is a part of my life. I think a lot of gamers now take gaming for granted. Now, I'm not trying to say that it's a serious thing, but if you really look back from your earliest days, from when you played video games, it has been a major part of your life, particularly for me. I can, almost as far as I can remember back, there's always some aspect of gaming. And I think that many gamers take that for granted, but these games are a part of your life. I mean, almost every decade you can, or even every year, you can point to a game, gaming system, gaming era. You can point to that and imagine where you were at that particular place and time. I remember Christmas 91, 92, that's when I got my Super Nintendo. I have the video, pictures, and everything, and it's just a big part of my life. So I guess I have to say what my gaming collection means to me. It's bits and pieces of my life, fun pieces of my life, I must say.